In the outskirts of Elmsbrook, a quiet New England town nestled between fog-laced hills and centuries-old oak forests, there stood a building long forgotten by time. The Elmsbrook Asylum had been closed for nearly 50 years, its massive stone structure swallowed by ivy and decay. Locals dared not approach it. Some said they still heard the faint echoes of screams drifting on the wind. Long after the last patient had left, the asylum had been shut down in 1973 after a string of gruesome patient deaths and an official investigation that yielded no answers. It was said the lead psychiatrist, Dr. Jonathan Miles, had vanished without a trace the very night the last patient died. Rumors swirled, whispers of inhumane experiments, strange symbols scrawled into walls, in a single locked room on the third floor no one ever entered. Most townsfolk dismissed the stories as superstition, yet not a single soul dared to set foot inside. That is, until Jeremy Kane arrived. Jeremy wasn't from Elmsbrook. He was a filmmaker from Chicago, obsessed with documenting America's most haunted places. His YouTube channel, Ghost Truth, had exploded in popularity after he spent a night in the basement of an abandoned hospital in Ohio, where 6 nurses had been murdered in the 1950s. With millions of subscribers and pressure to up the ante, Elmsbrook Asylum seemed like the perfect location for his next viral sensation. He arrived in mid-October, when the town was shrouded in cold mist and the leaves crunched like old bones beneath his boots. Armed with infrared cameras, voice recorders, EMF detectors, and a drone, Jeremy set out for the asylum just before dusk. He ignored the warnings of the gas station clerk who told him, "You won't walk out with what you walked in with." At 6:32 p.m., Jeremy stepped through the warped iron gate and into the overgrown courtyard. The air grew instantly colder, as if the building exhaled frost. He filmed his intro. "Tonight, we uncover the lost horrors of Elmsbrook Asylum. No crew, no gimmicks. Just me, and whatever still lives here." The main doors groaned open after a hard push. The smell of mildew, rotting wood, and something metallic, like old blood, filled his nose. His flashlight cut through thick darkness, illuminating crumbling hallways and rusted equipment. He started with the first floor, old patient rooms with overturned beds, graffiti-stained walls, and shattered windows. Jeremy's EMF detector began to flicker near the nurse's station, despite the total absence of electricity. He heard a soft tapping, like fingernails on glass, echoing down the corridor. He called out, "Is someone there?" but received no answer. On the second floor, Jeremy found the therapy rooms. One had a broken phonograph. Out of curiosity, he spun it. To his surprise, it began to play a warped, slow lullaby, though there was no record on the turntable. He recorded everything, thinking it would make for perfect content. But when he played back the footage later that night, the video showed something he hadn't seen in person. A hunched figure standing behind him, partially obscured by shadows, its head twitching violently. He paused the video, heart racing. He was alone. He had been alone. Still, Jeremy pressed on. He found a staircase to the third floor, the infamous level rumored to house the asylum's most violent patients. As he climbed, the air grew thicker, almost syrupy. His breath misted before him, even though the temperature hadn't dropped outside. At the top, a long corridor stretched into darkness. Doors lined the walls, each bearing a rusted number plate. Room 311 caught his eye. It was the only door fully intact and tightly shut. His camera's battery began to die, though it had been fully charged just 20 minutes before. He knocked once. Nothing. Then he heard it, a slow, dragging sound from inside, like someone pulling chains across concrete. He turned the knob. Locked. He placed his ear against the door, and a whisper brushed his skin. "He's watching." Jeremy staggered back, breathing hard. He thought about turning around, but the thrill of discovery, the adrenaline, the pressure of millions waiting for his next big reveal, it all pushed him forward. Using a crowbar, he forced the door open. The smell hit him first, decay and rot, powerful and overwhelming. The room was dim, but in the center sat an old restraint chair, its leather straps still stained dark. Strange symbols were carved into the floor around it, burned deep into the wood. His camera picked up a high EMF spike and emitted static. Then a shrill, piercing sound cut through the silence, a scream not heard but felt. Jeremy turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind him. His flashlight blinked out. Total darkness. Then footsteps. Not his. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. He fumbled with the flashlight, and when it flickered back on, a figure stood in the corner, facing the wall, body contorted, limbs bent at impossible angles. He raised his voice, stammering, "Who? Who are you?" The figure turned. Its face was wrong, too long, mouth stretched wide, stitched at the corners, eyes sunken in milky white. It opened its mouth and let out a long, low moan that made the walls tremble. Jeremy screamed. He dropped his camera. The video continued to record for 2 more hours, even though Jeremy was never seen in frame again. Sounds filled the feed. Scratches, whispers, soft giggling, and once a deep voice that said, "You'll never leave." The footage was found by police 3 days later after locals reported screaming from the asylum. They found Jeremy's van still parked outside. Inside the building, his equipment was scattered, but Jeremy himself was gone. No blood, no signs of a struggle, just his backpack, camera, and crowbar, placed neatly in front of room 311. The footage went viral. Millions watched it. Some claimed to see faces behind the windows. Others said if you listened with headphones, you could hear Jeremy crying at the 47-minute mark, though no one could explain how. To this day, no trace of Jeremy Kane has ever been found. The asylum was condemned shortly after, yet strange things persist. Campers near the area report lights in the building. Hikers claim to hear a man screaming for help. A few swear they have seen someone standing in the window of room 311, staring out with lifeless eyes. And sometimes late at night, when the wind is just right, the town of Elmsbrook goes still. All the animals go silent, and if you listen closely, you'll hear it. The faint whir of a camera still recording, deep inside the asylum, and a whisper that says, "He's watching still."